how to keep custom projects from turning into endless unpaid work. We are here today because you wrapped that project up, you delivered your part of the portion, and they even approved the work or gave you feedback, possibly. Maybe not. We'll see here in a second. But when is done, done? You think it's over, but yet somehow the client comes back with, oh, quick favor, can I get this in vertical? Or, oh, can I swap the background image? And, my assistant, she had a suggestion. Yeah. What do you do here? Because maybe 2 revisions were included, but is that a revision? What do these little things do that drag out done is done and also are eating away at your time and your revenue because you can't go beyond the project? That is what we are here to solve for you today. My name is Acacia Thornton. I'm the CEO legal coach, longtime attorney, and business advisor. And this is the Aligned business series. Aligned. Oh my God, I've been doing this for so long. I don't even remember the name. The Aligned business series. And this is where we go live 3 times a week, telling you real client challenges like this one, like endless projects. And I'm going to tell you actual solutions. There's actual solutions to these things that you can get ahead of them, save yourself the time, the stress, the worry. And we're here to also answer your questions live. So there will be a live Q&A if you want to find your chat and start getting things in there. Hey, Amanda. I will answer those right after I tell you my client stories, right? Let's talk about what is happening in the real world on these elements, because this drains your time. This drains your time. And worse, it's time you can't bill for. And at first they might seem like little asks. Oh, can I just get this in vertical? Or can I just change the background? Right? They seem small and minor, but they add up. And they add up in a way that can start to create resentment even for your clients. And it delays your schedule for your other clients, your other projects. It also means you're not being your best for any of your clients, this one or the ones that are behaving. But it also teaches your clients something. It teaches your clients that done didn't actually mean done, because maybe you hadn't quite decided when done was done. Or maybe you've decided done is when they feel satisfied. Ooh, being responsible for somebody else's feelings here. And let's be honest, you didn't get into your business so you can be a boundary enforcer. You didn't get into your business so you could be at the whims of other people's emotions and stresses and deadlines. And you do want to deliver great work. You want to deliver work that sells and sings from your soul. That's why you do this. But then you want to close the package, close that project, and move on. And here's the truth, though. Most of your clients are not actually trying to overstep. They just don't know when or how to stop. When or how to stop. They don't know they have to make up their mind by a certain deadline or a date or process step, as we'll get to here in a bit, because that's one thing you're going to have to do. You're going to be able to stop this today in your business. I'm going to show you exactly how you can stop this today. And the key is you were waiting till the end, and you were waiting for you to make the decision, and you were waiting for you to enforce it. It's a lot of extra work on you, and none of it's paid for. So again, why is this bad for your business? Really quick before you jump into the client story, your time, right? Your time is really, really valuable. You're stuck in that feedback loop of limbo or waiting for them. Who decides when done is done, them or you? Money. You're working for free. That's not cool. You're working for free. Or even just handling those emails, even responding to the emails, even if you decide that you're not going to do any more of the design work or any more of the custom work, whatever type of project you're working on, because I'll give you a story about a designer as well as a consulting company today. And that every moment of your time matters, and it's gone here. Your energy, you're just exhausted mentally. Every little bit, as we've seen with social media and emails, every little piece adds up as a drain. And if it's not exciting us, if it's not feeding the pocketbook, if it's not feeding your purpose and building your business, that slowly depreciates the quality of life and value for you. It's going to stop you from growing. Right? You can't get to other client projects. You'll see with this consulting client if you're stuck in this one. You don't also want to be fielding let's say you had a great first quarter. Let's say you had 12 new clients through Q1. And then by the next quarter, you're having to do 12 new clients plus deal with questions from the last 12. Now you're dealing with 24 clients at once, even though you're not in the main part of the project. That's hard to move forward. It's hard to scale. And it eventually affects your confidence. Am I good at handling my business? I don't know what to do. I'm insecure about this. And it ends up with an internal cycle that spirals you downward instead of up. So let's talk about these two client stories really quick, okay? First one is about a branding and web designer, web designing and logo designing. I have a lot of clients that do those types of things. And she had a client that signed on for all these things. And of course, there's customization to these things, of course. And so she builds in the rounds of feedback, the calls they're going to have, the milestones, and then the deliverables, right? And everything ran like clockwork. Everything was supposed to be there. Everything was good. Feedback was good. But then at final delivery, hey, can you send that in Canva too? Or actually, I need that with the colors inverted so I can put on a white background instead of the black background like we thought. And can I just do this one tweak? And every ask felt so small to her, so small that she's like, of course, yeah, yes, 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 until weeks had passed. And she couldn't start the other things that were going on in her business because this one hadn't ended. She was emotionally and mentally still in the weeds of this project, even though her part was done. She had delivered everything she said she was going to deliver. And she kind of realized that. She's like, I didn't know when to actually determine internally that done is done. I didn't know that I needed a boundary there. Because there's one thing to give from your heart because it's fun. But when you're running a business, the value of who you are, your expertise, your time, your heart, they have a value exchange. That's what it is to, the difference between giving to your siblings or your parents or your family, doing something out of love versus doing something for pay, is that there is a boundary. There's a different type of container we're dealing with. And the moment I showed her what I'm going to show you guys today, she's like, oh my God, light bulb. Like that's, of course, that's what I needed. That changes everything. Changed her business planning, her business structure, and her revenue. Because now she can get more clients in the door while working less hours. And then the consulting company, this consulting company I'd worked with for years, and they would sometimes do custom stuff or off the shelf stuff. And what ended up happening with them is they had a client that, so my client, the consulting company, would deliver milestone 1. And then their client would be like, okay, yep, looks good. And so my client would move on to milestone 2, right? The next phase. But then in the middle of them doing milestone 2, their client comes back and is like, hey, so back at milestone 1, now that we're implementing it, we need to do this, this, and this to it. And then, we brought it over to the other team. They need these changes. So my client was constantly in milestone 1 and milestone 2, then milestone 2. And so they couldn't quite ever move forward because the stuff that was accepted and done was never really done. If the client can come ask, if the client can even ask for something, it's not done. You've left that door open to the ask. And this is where we help them put that boundary. The asks have to come within this much time. After that, we're not going back. We're not opening that door. You need to figure out what you need by these time frames. And so this isn't about pushy clients, right? All these clients in both of these scenarios, the logo website client and the consulting client, they wanted the work from my clients. They picked them as their vendors. They love that. They loved working with them. They love the quality of the work. They just were uncertain about what's the tipping points of these things. I'm going to show you how to put these boundaries and these tipping points very clearly into your agreements. Because what's missing? What was missing in both of these scenarios? A definition of when delivery turns into done. Delivery does not mean done. If your client can come back and ask for one more thing, it's not done. They can ask for a tweak. They can ask for an additional call. They can ask for extra service, customer service or something after maybe a training. It's not done. It's in limbo. You need done. Because why does done matter? When you can officially say, this is it, done is done, bam, payday. Now the client can't drag out payday either. They know any other invoices, anything else. It's officially due now. And you can legally trigger these things. You can legally and automatically trigger done and payment. And so that's one of the two solutions I'm going to give you today. We also, in them though, we need the language to say when feedback is expected. You can't come back 6 months from now and now talk about revisions. You can't come back middle of milestone 3 and ask for revisions on milestone 1. We need to say when done is done at every step and what done means. No more feedback, no more questions, no more asks. And you're probably starting to feel like, well, this sounds like I'm going to be a little harsh or a little mean. You're not. I promise you, this actually makes your clients happier when you do it this way. So we need all of these, and we need support. This is the third key here. What's included and what's not. We want our clients to keep coming back to us. We like this. We want them to love working with us. And if they're coming to you, that means they still trust you and value you. But you want that trust and value to come at a value exchange, something you get in return. Because when you budgeted and you planned and you quoted this to them, you were expecting this much work, this much time, this much of your month, your year. That's what you were expecting. So when we hit the tipping points, it's okay if they come back and ask for more, as long as they give more for it. So what are these? Okay, so let's talk about these actual answers. And the first one is called an acceptance clause. An acceptance clause. This is key because this does technically three things. One, it says when done is done. When delivery turns into done, your acceptance clause clarifies it. It also says the deadline that your client has to get feedback back to you, to get those revisions in. And then it also legally triggers any additional payment terms automatically, even if your client ghosts. That's the beauty of an acceptance clause, is that when you have it up front in your client agreement, your client has agreed to it because it's actually very reasonable and it helps your clients feel more secure in your relationship. So if you have something that says, if you don't respond by this date, it's considered approved and accepted and payment becomes due. It tells the client, you have this window to get back to me so that they can't keep coming in after and after. And you know, after that window, done is done. The client agreement said so. So it triggers final payment, it closes that project, and it also has emotional closure for you. Because you now know if they want to come back and ask for more, and this is where the second thing comes in, is that there's payment. Sure, I will continue supporting you an extra 30 days in exchange for value, right? Exchange for value. So, I just got a little reminder here too. Yes, I created an acceptance clause playbook because this is such a big deal for so many of my clients. I created a playbook for you guys. It has actual copy paste acceptance clauses, right? And it'll also show you how you can customize one for you. So you can have it right then and there under 5 minutes, right? You can get an acceptance clause right into your client agreements right here, right now, today. No lawyer needed. Of course, legally approved if you want to go check a lawyer or something. But so your answers are right there. So you can get that in there right here, right now. It's going to have scripts for you, all of this, right? It's all in there, an acceptance clause playbook. So you can get an acceptance clause that works for how you do business, how you do business with your clients. Where do you want that finish line to be? So that's really important. Step 1, acceptance clause. Done is done. Here's how you have to communicate the deadline. And bam, any additional payment terms automatically triggered, no matter what the client does. If they ghost you, it doesn't matter. If they ask for extra stuff, it doesn't matter. The acceptance clause clarified everything for everyone from the very, very beginning. Okay, so that's part 1. That's how you keep those custom projects from turning to endless unpaid work. Is bam, now there's a finish line and everybody knows exactly where it is, and it gets triggered automatically at certain points that are clarified already and agreed to. The next thing is let's get you paid for those extras. Let's get you paid for those extras. And this is called scope creep. Scope creep clause. Yes. By the way, yes. Go ahead and start getting your Q&A. Any questions into the chat? I will get to this in just a second. So your scope creep clause is it defines the line between what's included and extra. Because so many times we sit there and say, hey, you're going to get 2 revisions. And we say what's included. We don't say where the boundary is and what happens on the other side of it. You need a 3rd revision. Not a problem. 2 were included. Here's what happens if you need that 3rd. Is it build an extra $100? Is it whatever you want? So a scope creep defines the line between what's included and not included. If they want something that's not included, how much it's going to charge them. And it turns, just one more, just into knowing that your acceptance clause has set the boundary and your scope creep clause says, here's what the value exchange is beyond that. And it gives you permission to hold these boundaries while growing your revenue in ways that are loving, because this is important to your clients as well, because now your client knows. I know my project is going to stay on time because I see a finish line that's clarified. I know I have to get back to them. I need to prioritize this. Because so many times when our clients ghost us, they don't get back to us, or they're always asking for extra things, it's because they haven't prioritized done themselves. They haven't prioritized it. So now you're telling them in the agreement right up front, we're going to prioritize this together because this helps us both. This helps me keep things on track for me, but your client, it means you're going to get your done, your results, your outcome you're paying me for by this day or time. And they know that too. They also know what is expected of them, how to do it. And then because of the scope creep clause, extras cost this much or have these types of outcomes, they now know they can make an educated choice. It's okay if I need a 3rd and 4th round of the revisions, but I'm going to pay this much for them. So I now need to decide, do I want to hurry up and decide that I get everything in this second call, or am I willing to pay for more? That's an educated decision they get to make, where if that information is not there, they're left with I can just ask them for more. It's not a big deal. It's small. It's no, right? When you tell them the boundary, they feel more secure in making better decisions for themselves. And then if they ask for more, you're going to get paid for it. So that's the beauty of acceptance clause and the scope creep clause. Okay. So we've got the playbook up. Let me get to our questions. Hey, Duan. Whoop, whoop. Love it. Loving the love. All right. What else we got? Where should the acceptance clause go in my contract? Oh, yeah. Great clause. Okay. So the acceptance clause and a scope creep clause, both of them actually, right where your deliverables are, because it's more business and what's included, not included, and timelines, right? We talk about milestones, deadlines, timelines, and what's included, not included. That part of your contract, usually like your SOW, the statement of work area, or however you decide to put that in there, put it at the bottom of that. Put it there. You don't want to bury it in the terms and conditions, because while it's legally enforceable in most jurisdictions, it's not really a term and condition, right? It's not like a limitation on liability or something like that. This is part of how you're going to do business together. It further defines and clarifies the scope of services, the scope of work, and the deliverables. So I would put it right there. Yeah, both of them. And then you can just put one, use the acceptance clause and the scope creep. What if I already delivered the project and didn't include this clause? Can I still use it? So, okay. Yes, but let's first make sure it never happens again. Okay. So part 1, go update your template. So that way, every contract moving forward has this, right? Go forward, make sure it has that. Then for your current ones, okay, so you can technically update a contract, but it requires a signed amendment by both parties. And it's not usually worth it mid-project for an acceptance clause, So what I would recommend is start get an acceptance clause, and whatever you decide to put in your templates, rephrase it and start using it in your emails and your communications. So when you send the next delivery or the next milestone, you could say, hey, usually this phase, we only have 2 revisions. And then or if I don't hear back from you from Friday, I'm going to assume this is approved. Those types of phrasings that you would have from your acceptance clause in your contract. But because you've already missed that opportunity for this particular client, start using those phrases in your communication. particularly when you deliver each phase. So then the client kind of knows. You can't legally enforce them if it wasn't in the agreement, but it does give, they can't say they didn't know, right? You've communicated it. So it's time to fill that, it's time to fill the gap with clarity. No more limbo, fill the gap with clarity and communication. So that's what I would do if you've already delivered the project and you don't have this, is start using those types of phrasings from it. In fact, I think the playbook has an example of that if you want to copy paste from that. How do I enforce this without sounding rude or burning the relationship? Okay. So what's nice is when it's in the contract, they've already agreed. They've already said yes. So you don't have to be the bad guy because it's also already said and stated for you. The contract is doing the work for you. All you have to do is remind them it's there. Hey, per the agreement, we've got one revision left. If you need anything extra, we can check out. Happy to send you an added invoice based on the agreement. So all you have to do is remind them. They've already agreed to it. They've already agreed to it. So I wouldn't worry about enforcing it when it comes to that, because you just have the communication along the way and remind them. And then that's what's great about an acceptance clause is you don't have to enforce or chase ghosting. You don't have to enforce when done is done because it legally happened. It's already done. When it's in that contract and everyone signed that contract, it's legally done. You don't have to do anything. Done is done. Whether they respond and ask for more, whether they approve the work, whether they ghost you, done is done because the agreement is enforceable. So the agreement does all the work for you. You don't have to do any of it, love. So you don't have to sound rude or burning the relationship. Remember, clarity does equal safety. Clients actually appreciate and love clarity because it gives them a better boundary and foundation themselves of how they get to work with you. They know what's expected of them. And if it's in your client agreement early, they can decide if they're going to rise to that occasion. 9 out of 10 will. They will love you for it. Yeah. Let's see. They want changes after the project is complete. How do I charge for it? If they want changes after the project is complete, how do I charge for that? So back to the two things. One, we actually want to make sure we have done is done, right? That acceptance clause. Is the project really complete or are you still in limbo? 2, charge you for it. The scope creep will say after, acceptance is done, any additional revisions will be billed at this rate, will be at this. So it's already in your agreement. And you don't have to say the exact rate because sometimes you're like, I don't know how much it's going to cost. You can just phrase it as, any additional requests after the 30-day deadline will be billed at the industry rate, a new invoice will be issued, something like that, as agreed to, something like that indicates that there's still more expected in value exchange, but that the scope creep clause is going to clear that up for you. So if they want changes after the project is complete, charge for that with a new invoice. It's a whole new ask, right? It wasn't included. You included things A, B, and C, and now they want D. D gets a charge, D gets an invoice or a PO, however that process is. Yep. Emmy, what is up? Are acceptance clauses generally legal in all states? Oh, I love this. Generally, yes. Yes. So what's great is majority of the world, actually, 99% of the world, definitely all 50 states, what happens is you get what's called contractual autonomy. That means whatever the two parties decided to agree to, whatever they decided to put into that contract and say, yes, this is what I agreed to. Well, you've agreed to it. And the courts are going to support you in that. So unless there's a reason like fraud, lying, things that would negate a contract altogether, illegal stuff, yes. I don't want to say 100% because I'm not licensed in every single state in the United States. But having covered contracts across all states and across the majority of the globe in my career, yes, these are enforceable. You could always double check with your local jurisdiction. But yes, acceptance clauses are generally legal in every single U.S. state. Love these questions, guys. These are great. All right, tomorrow we're talking about ghosting. We're going to get straight to that question there that happens to all of us. What do you do when the client ghosts? How do I get things back on track That's what we're going to do tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and I will see you all there.